Today we're making homemade ricotta cheese, and it is so much better than store-bought. The texture is better, the flavor is better, and anything that you use ricotta in, this is going to take it to the next level. It does take a little more time, love, and effort, but it is well worth it, and it's very simple. We're going to start off with a large saucepan. We're going to be putting 6 cups of liquid in here, so make sure it's big enough to hold 6 cups. So we're going to turn our burner on to medium. And go in with 2 cups of heavy cream. Four cups of milk. And 1 teaspoon of salt. And then give that a stir. And now we're just going to wait for it to boil. So simple, so easy. Now I use whole milk because the fat is what makes the cheese richer and creamier. If you only have non-fat milk or low-fat milk, you can compensate by increasing the amount of heavy cream and reducing the amount of milk. So maybe 3 cups of heavy cream and 3 cups of milk so that you still have enough fat in the mixture to get a rich and creamy end product. It's going to take some time for that pot to start boiling. We don't have to constantly stir it, but every couple of minutes, go over there, give it a little stir. The only other ingredient in our homemade ricotta is vinegar. So while we're waiting for this to boil, we can go ahead and measure that out. We want 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. You can also use lemon juice, and I have used lemon juice. I like the flavor of lemon juice better, but lemons, as we know, they vary in acidity. And so sometimes I have made my ricotta with fresh lemon juice, and I haven't gotten the curds that I wanted, and it kind of ends up in a wasted batch. So I prefer vinegar because I get more consistent results. I have a little bowl here, and we'll just measure out 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. And then I will put this bowl over there by the stovetop so that I have it handy when I'm ready for it. Okay, so just to give you a little indication time-wise, this has been over medium heat for about 10, 11 minutes now. And you can see that we're still not boiling. Okay, this has been over medium heat for about 15 minutes now, and I'm not really seeing much development since the last time I popped in with you guys. So I'm just going to increase my heat just a little bit, just a little over medium, and we'll see if we can speed it up a little bit. Okay, so 20 minutes later, I am starting to see some movement in the pot. It's very frothy at the top now. And I do see some bubbles, but it's still not boiling as much as I want. I'm gonna let it go for a little bit more. And that's kind of the test that I do. I'll give a stir, and then if that stops the bubbles for a little while, I know that we're not quite there. It took a little while for me to see that movement again. I tell you, nothing is more disappointing than putting all of this time and effort in and then it not separating into curds and whey. So the patience will pay off, I promise. I'm coming up on about 25 minutes total time to bring it up to a boil. Okay, and then this time, instead of stirring, I'm just gonna let it get rolling. Can you see that in the camera? I don't know if you can see that movement very good. With this heavy cream mixture, it's really, really hard to tell. It keeps a nice even surface and you have to kind of look below the surface a little bit. But now we are getting some really good movement. I think you can see that. Okay, so we are going to turn off the burner. And we are going to stir in. We are going to stir in our vinegar. And success! You can already see it separating. Okay, so just remove it from the heat. I want to show you the spatula. I don't think it's on camera very good. See how it's all chunky? That's exactly what we want. So good job, guys. Okay, we want to make sure that that has plenty of time to separate. We want to leave that in the pot for about 10 minutes. And while we are waiting that 10 minutes, we are going to get our station set up for straining out the curds from the whey. For this next part, you're going to need a pretty good sized bowl because there's actually going to be quite a bit of liquid that we strain out, and a fine mesh strainer. And we just put the fine mesh strainer in the bowl and see how it kind of balances in there like that on the handle. And it's got the two hooks. That's what that's for. We're also going to need some cheesecloth. And cheesecloth is not hard to find. You can get it at the grocery store. It's usually in the aisle that has the kitchenwares, like the cheese graters and the measuring cups and things like that. And I bought this a long time ago. It lasts me a long time because we don't really need that much. And it's not that expensive. And I'm just gonna get a sheet of it here. Cut it off. And then you can see that they usually fold this too, and I don't really need a whole lot, so I'm just gonna spread it apart like that. And then we are going to put this into the fine mesh strainer just for a little extra filtration power. And now we are ready. When that 10 minutes is up, we are ready to strain. So after 10 minutes, you can see that the curds have kind of come to the top and the whey has separated down to the bottom. And now we are just going to pour this carefully. Oh, oh. We're having mechanical failure. I think the rounded edge of this bowl is causing me problems. We're going to go kind of slow because sometimes it doesn't drain as fast as you pour it in. As you can see, it's filling up pretty fast. Perfect. And now we just leave that alone and let it drain for 20 to 25 minutes. One thing that I love about homemade ricotta is that you can be in charge of the texture of the ricotta. The less amount of time that you let it drain, the more liquidy and creamy the cheese will be. And the more you let it drain, and honestly, you can even, I'll show you a little bit later, you can actually squeeze out some of the moisture from that cheesecloth. That will give you a denser and richer cheese. And depending on what I'm using it for, I like it both ways. The next thing I'm making is going to be a lasagna. So in this case, I'm not going to let it drain for as long because I want it to be a little bit more creamy. But when I make my raviolis, or I put a scoop on some pasta that I've made or something, sometimes I like it a little bit thicker. So one of the great things about cooking it from scratch is that you have control over how you like the final product. All right, it's been draining for about 20 minutes and I will show you what it looks like. So we've got our curds here, and then you can see down in the bowl, this is the whey, and this is actually really nutritious as well. You could keep it and put it in a smoothie. I don't know. I don't ever use it. But Google what you can do with it. It does provide a lot of nutritional benefits that you might be interested in saving this and using it for some other things. But for the cheese, now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of gather up my fabric here, my cheesecloth. And you can see that it's not dripping too much more, but if I wanted to make the cheese a little bit thicker, a little denser, I can just give it a squeeze. And you can see that I'm getting some more liquid out of there. But as I mentioned, I'm going to be using this for a lasagna, and I want it to stay a little bit creamy, so I'm just going to leave it right where it's at. And then this is probably the hardest part, is getting it from this cheesecloth and into a bowl. Hey, I did that pretty good. This is not my first rodeo. You can put it in the refrigerator, cover it up, put it in the fridge for 4 to 5 days. It'll be just fine. As I mentioned, I'm about to put this in a lasagna, and that is going to be my next video. So please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss it. It's going to be delicious. Hope to catch you next time.